Well, hello again. What do I have for you this week? Well, it's not very much happening again. There was the Soul Foundation Symposium, so I was watching someone doing a reportage of that. They phoned into a YouTube channel, and I heard pretty much what I expected to hear. Now, I think it's still invite only. Now, I didn't get an invite. Perhaps surprisingly. But anyway, I'll let you know what I heard. So, Soul Foundation was not at Stanford University this year, so I'm guessing Stanford University, being a respected academic institution, has kicked them out. They've actually realised, I've seen some of these YouTube videos where people have said, what on earth is Stanford University doing associating themselves with this science fiction claptrap? To stand in front of a bunch of academics at Stanford University and say, I know we're interacting with a number of ET species because I've been told, Admiral Galladay? Really? Okay, so the Soul Foundation, the shit out of luck foundation, because they're going to be shit out of luck if they think they're going to be dealing with extraterrestrial biological and technological materials. There's none on Earth. It's all science fiction rubbish. So now it's being held in San Francisco, so I don't know whether the audience were all on fentanyl or San Francisco, is it the fentanyl capital of the US? Okay, so apparently the Soul Foundation, Gary Nolan, has been asking people not to put anything they recorded there online, not to record any audio, not to record any video, and if they've already done that, please take it down. That's Gary Nolan. So he knows it's a load of rubbish and it's going to get torn to pieces. As soon as people start looking at it with a critical eye, applying a bit of critical thinking, it's all going to fall in a huge heap. So Gary Nolan does not want that. He wants to keep the donations coming into the Soul Foundation for their research, so they can produce lots and lots of white papers that are completely pointless because they deal with how to handle ET materials and ETs, and of course none of that is here. Okay, so Stanford University wanted to distance themselves from that, and who can blame them? Yeah, actually, I was going to look up the difference between a conference and a symposium. I mean, they had a conference last year, didn't they, where they presented a lot of science fiction rubbish, and they're having a symposium this year where it sounds like they presented a lot of science fiction rubbish. So, what's the difference exactly? Now, they had the usual suspects presenting there. Luminaries like Carl Nell, he's worked in aerospace for decades. He's been a member of the UAP task force, and he knows that ET is coming here and crashing here because he's been told by others. Not from personal experience. Put the line through Carl Nell. Leslie Kean. We know Leslie Kean left a lot of information out of the article she put into the New York Times or wherever it was back in 2017 because she didn't want she didn't want the story to lose credibility, so she left a lot of it out. Admiral Tim, I know we're interacting with lots of ET species because people have told me Galladay, complete waste of time. Ryan Graves, Eric Davis, who apparently now is saying that he's only been told by others that he knows this is going on. It used to be that Eric Davis was one of the core people. Oh, yeah, it's all going on, I know, Now he's backpedaling. I think it's because he thinks he might get subpoenaed by Arrow. And if you look up this outfit that he works for, this exotic propulsion company, you'd expect huge company like Lockheed Martin or something like that. If you actually look at the address, it's in Texas, I think. I did look it up, and it's one small office. It's a little tiny office in a little suite of offices, single floor offices, So And if you Google the company, you'll find that there's Hal Puthoff there. There's two other Puthoffs that are probably Hal Puthoff's sons, and Eric Davis. So it's a little tiny company. You can't go there and see what they're doing. So you can't get a demonstration, you can't look at anything they're working on. You can't meet any of them, but they do make it very easy for you to donate money. So you can donate money to that company Eric Davis works for, no problem at all, but you just can't see what you're getting for it. Unbelievable nonsense, isn't it, really? So apparently Gary Nolan was the sort of MC, and he was trying to control the questions and the narrative. And he told the audience he would have to take action if anyone asked any real questions. Red flags abound, you know, he's sitting there, you know, he's the MC. If anyone asks any real questions, sit down, shut up, or you're out. That's Gary Nolan. So I'm suspecting, they said that there was a lot more of this year's Soul gathering than there was at last year's. I suspect there'll be far fewer next year, you know, because people will be going away and they'll provide feedback to people saying it's a waste of time. I wanted to ask some serious questions and I was shut down by Gary Nolan, you know, because there'd be people asking for evidence. Is there any evidence of this? You know, Gary Nolan doesn't want that because there is none. There is no tangible evidence for ET coming here and crashing here. That ET has ever come here and crashed here. Zero tangible evidence. Gary Nolan doesn't want people to have to address that in front of a crowd of potential fanboys. So apparently Admiral Tim, I know we're interacting with several alien species because I've been told Galladay actually backpedaled on one of the things that him and others have been putting forward about this structure off the coast of California or something. E.T. Alien Base. This is one of Danny Sheehan's science fiction stories. Gets more and more pathetic all the time, doesn't it? Anyway, he's backpedaled on that. And he's now saying that the anomaly off the California coast was in fact a natural formation. Well, who would have picked that? A admiral. No alien base, really. You know, you could knock me down with a feather. That clicking noise is the cicadas. They come out this time of year. As soon as the temperature gets above 30 degrees centigrade, they start clicking away, trying to find some girlfriends. You'll make more clicking cicadas. Now, I'm guessing we're not going to see any of the. I'm guessing we're not going to see any of the presentations that were done at the Soul Symposium this year on YouTube. I mean, I looked at their YouTube channel. There's a lot of stuff there from the last one, and I think they're probably not going to be putting them up. I mean, if Gary Nolan is trying to control the narrative, he's not going to want a video showing that on YouTube. He's not going to want a video showing what questions were asked and controlled and shut down. You know, you can't ask that. So I suspect, and the fact that he's asked people not to put it all up there, I suspect that it's unlikely that the presentations will be on YouTube this year. They may be. We'll just have to wait and see. And I'll certainly make some videos ripping them to pieces if I see any, because there's going to be a lot to rip apart. It's drivel, all of it. You know, he doesn't want the donations to the Soul Foundation to dry up, so he's got to control the narrative. We can't have people that are capable of critical thinking realising that it's all rubbish, it's all a waste of money, it's a waste of time. Now, they showed a viewing of James Fox's latest science fiction film. It's called The Program. James Fox. I said it ages ago, personal opinion, put a line through James Fox. Complete and utter rubbish. He was talking about the Brazilian alien. He interviewed the girls originally. The There was no mention of telepathic communication, all that sort of stuff. He interviewed them much later on, just a few years back, when they're grown up, they're women, and he's getting these fanciful yarns. He's leading them on. You know, pull a line through James Fox. Complete waste of time. Apparently Beatrice Villarol was there, and Beatrice was talking about this, stuff that appears above the planet. Before Sputnik was launched, they're in one picture, someone's taking a picture of the sky, and they're not in the next one. But she doesn't mention, as far as I know, that people would have been experimenting with getting rockets into space long before Sputnik was launched in 1957. V2s. A V2 was launched by the Germans in 1944 that reached space. Recovered V2s were launched in America, and their object was to get satellites into space. There's going to be debris that's going to turn up in pictures above the planet before Sputnik was launched. There was an American thing as well in 1947. That's a weird title. I should have made a note of it. I can't remember what it was, but you can Google that. US launched rocket into space in 1947. I think they claimed it was the first rocket the first man-made object to get into space, but that was actually the Germans did that with the same sort of vehicle 3 years previously, during the war, 1944. They launched the V2 into space. What is technically space above the planet. So that really doesn't really mean anything. You know, I'm guessing she doesn't point that out because she wants to get a bit of intrigue going. Oh, before Sputnik was launched, look at this, it's here, now it isn't, you know. But she doesn't tell you the whole story, like all these other pipple peddlers, you know. They'll try and push this, or there's something intriguing, there's something going on narrative, when there really isn't. And apparently Beatrice tells us there's between 9 and 40 billion Earth-sized planets in our galaxy alone. Now, this is what the fellow said, she said Earth-sized planets. Not Earth-like planets, Earth-sized planets. They will be dead rocks. The other thing, of course, is that there's no way she could know that. Nobody's counted 40 billion, well, she says between 9 and 40 billion Earth-sized planets in this galaxy alone. Of course, that's an estimate. She doesn't know that. There's no evidence for that. More fanciful nonsense. And again, Earth-sized, not Earth-like. It could be dead rocks. If it's true, they could all be dead rocks, have no atmospheres, you know. Not in the habitable zones, who knows. But sensationalistic codswallop, basically. Now, Avi Loeb was there. You can tell I'm doing this video earlier in the day than I've been doing them recently, because I get this gurgly thing in the mornings. And it's sort of gone by lunchtime. Excuse me. So Avi Loeb was there. Now, as always, Avi Loeb kept away from the fanciful science fiction rubbish being spruiked by others at the Sol Foundation Symposium. Avi Loeb is not interested in science fiction stories. He's interested in evidence. Avi Loeb is looking for money to look at objects that have fallen to Earth, interstellar objects that have fallen to Earth, to see if they are natural objects or whether they are some kind of technology. And as Avi Loeb rightly says, if you don't go out there and collect bits of it and analyse it, you will never know. If it's a rock, it's a rock. If it's something more exciting, it's something a lot more exciting. So I think Avi Loeb would have been the only one there worth listening to be perfectly honest. Because obviously Avi Loeb is absolutely right. If you don't go and look, you will never know. So, and he poo-pooed the science fiction rubbish. He says, you know, if He's not interested in stories. I don't know if he said it at the Soul Foundation, but I've seen him saying it elsewhere. He's not really interested in stories. What he wants to see is actual evidence, and if anyone telling these stories has any actual evidence, tangible evidence, they should take it along and show it to Avi Loeb. And good on Avi Loeb for that. It's precisely what's required. So Avi Loeb, not interested in all their science fiction rubbish. He's only interested in evidence, as should everybody else be. All this science fiction rubbish should be kicked into touch. It should be just discarded as drivel, without a scrap of tangible evidence to support any of it. It's all rubbish. Then someone was talking about, oh, who was that? Who was that talking about? Oh yeah, Avi Loeb was saying he's heard stories about an object descending from 60,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. Avi Loeb worked out how much energy, how many megawatts you would need to actually achieve that. And came to the conclusion that it was unrealistic, you couldn't do it. Now, you don't need to look into it that deeply. You know, people say it's not physically possible, and they're right, it's not physically possible, because it was a system glitch. It wasn't a real physical object. He's talking about what was observed on the Princeton, you know, an object on the radar going 60,000 feet down to sea level in the blink of an eye. And it's because the Princeton systems had a software upgrade and it had glitches in it. This is very common after system upgrades, you know. The radar operator, Kevin Day, said he knows what he thinks he knows what was really going on, but he's got to keep his opinion to himself because he doesn't want to destroy the credibility of the story. So Kevin Day knows it was a system glitch. You know, there's no point spending lots of time working all this stuff out. It's obviously a system glitch. It was not a real physical object. No real physical object can do that. So, and he also, it wasn't mentioned here, but Kevin Day also said there was these 5 objects kept going from north to south at 100 knots, you know, all the time. You know, these would be very easy to intercept and have a look and see if they were real. They didn't do that. System glitch. So, this is the problem with the fanciful science fiction yarns. There is no tangible evidence to support that being a physical object. Even if there was a recording of the radar data, that doesn't mean it was a real physical object. It wasn't recovered, samples weren't taken. It was an artifact generated by the software in the system, not a real physical object. Carl Nell was there. Now Colonel Carl Nell, you know, he knows ET is here because people have told him, you know. With all his aerospace experience, you know, going back decades, he was a member of the UAP task force. He only knows ET is coming here, pardon me, because people have told him. He personally has not seen any tangible evidence of ET coming here. No biological evidence, no technological evidence. That's Carl Nell. I've said it before, put a line through Carl Nell, personal opinion. Waste of time. He's been told. With all that experience, all these secret aerospace projects with defence companies, he's a member of the UAP task force, and he has to be told this is going on? It's not going on, is it? Michael Schellenberger was there apparently. Again, you know, he repeats what he's been told as truth. No tangible evidence to support anything Schellenberger says. Put a line through Schellenberger. Personal opinion. Waste of time. Now, oh, these have got in the wrong order here. Okay, what's this? Sorry about this, folks. Okay, alright. Well, Jon Stewart apparently has released a new video You know, Jon Stewart, the Alien interview. Jon Stewart, moody-faced character. Bit of trouble in paradise there as well, because Adrian, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. The fellow that did the Alien interview video, so Burlington, says that Jon Stewart should be called Con Stewart. He's been peddling this rubbish, you know, for ages, and of course the Alien interview guy has as well. But there's a bit of trouble in paradise there. They don't like each other very much. Now, Jon Stewart has given his opinion on who Bob Dean is. I mean, who Victor is in the Alien interview video. It's obviously Bob Dean. You know, Bob Dean likes a stripy tie. The guy's wearing a stripy tie. Bob Dean likes to wear a necklace, you know. Victor is wearing the little necklace. Bob Dean has a paunch. Victor has a paunch. The speech patterns of Bob Dean are the same as the speech patterns of Victor. As Bob Dean has a wispy beard. You can see Victor has a wispy beard in silhouette. It's ridiculous rubbish. It's obviously Bob Dean. Anyway, Jon Stewart is selling this video. It's out. People have seen it. And he sells them for $8 a pop because he doesn't want to bankrupt anybody. Could make them for free, of course. No guarantee no one was going to get bankrupted. But you know, I'm guessing it's been out a week, so I'm guessing that Jon Stewart is probably $80 better off. He's probably maybe $60 better off. Okay, so just very quickly, there's been some drones over some Air Force bases in the UK. RAF Mildenhall, RAF Lakenheath and RAF Feltwell. Now these are bases occupied by the Americans, used by the Americans in the UK, and there's been drones buzzing around them for a few days now. Now, Lakenheath and Mildenhall are bases for aircraft. There's fighter aircraft. I think there's probably B-52s there as well. Feltwell is an intelligence gathering facility. It's a bit like a small Pine Gap or Menwith Hill. It's something like that, but on a smaller scale. If you look at Feltwell, there's big domes all over the place. It's something or other intelligence squadron. Actually, that might be run by the UK. I can't remember now. I looked it up during the week. I should have made some more notes. But anyway, regardless, these drones are fitted with white strobe anti-collision lights and red and green navigation lights, as specified by the CAA, Civil Aircraft Authority in the UK. These are very obviously terrestrial drones, operated for fun by civilians, or to rattle some cages by a terrestrial adversary. You know, we all know how effective drones are in warfare, because we've seen them the Ukrainians using them. China has dedicated drone ships, like a drone mothership, sails around full of drones, launches swarms of drones to go and look at stuff. I think it's reasonable to assume the Russians do it too, and it may be Russians collecting precise targeting information for a potential conventional weapon strike or weapon strikes on US assets in the UK. That's all it's going to be. It's not. It's not going to be ET. You know, the ET fanboys, they're not drones, they're alien spacecraft. What with CAA specified white strobe lights and red and green navigation lights. Yeah, I really don't think so. So of course, flying these things around, they're going to have a look at how they're intercepted as well. That will give them a lot of information, you know, how these drones are intercepted. They're going to be looking for specific things. They're looking at Feltwell because there must be something going through Feltwell that specifically they want to get rid of. Maybe it's they think that the US and the UK will be far happier with Feltwell disappearing off the map than Menwith Hill. You know, if you want to hit the beehive, maybe you hit a little beehive first, you know. So it's not ET, it's going to be adversarial terrestrial drones. So I can't imagine ETs queuing up at the CAA to get the rules and regulations regarding lighting on drones, can you? You know, a little grey standing in the queue, looking at the counter. Yeah, I've got something I want to fly over some Air Force bases. You got a form? I need to fill in a form for the correct anti-collision lighting and navigation light. Thank you. Through a translating device, of course. Okay, very quickly, Manchester Airport object. There was no tower or ground control radio chatter recorded. That would have been buzzing like mad if this was real. There's none of that. It's rubbish. The blue egg close to the ground, if you look at it closely, there's two parallel lines across the image, and you can see those through the blue egg. It's a fake, you know. Stephen Greer tells us he's going to drop a hot potato. He's going to drop a steamy pile. That's what he's going to be dropping. I put a line through Greer a long time ago. I suggest you do too. Personal opinion. He said, what we've all been waiting for, tangible evidence of ET, bodies and technology. He's going to be presenting it all as soon as somebody gives it to him. That's Stephen Greer. Oh dear. Complete and utter rubbish, as usual, all of it. It's all science fiction hogwash. If you struggled through the video all the way to this point, many thanks for watching as usual, and maybe I'll catch you again.